Hi everyone, and welcome back to week 2 of the 2014 NFL season. I'd like to start off by congratulating Romano's Perfect 300 of Ontario and Derek Lee of Illinois. They are this week's winners of my Let's Take the Man's Money t-shirt contest. I'll be giving away 2 tees every week to my subscribers. I'm at 497 right now. I just need 3 more for 500, so make sure you subscribe and give yourself a chance to win some Let's Take the Man's Money gear. Okay, here are this week's picks. The first game we're going to look at has the New England Patriots going to Minnesota to take on my Vikings, who are 3-point dogs at home. A lot of people are going to write off Minnesota's win last week because it came against a backup quarterback, but he was a quality backup, and they shut him out for the entire first half. The scrub came in, got a couple of field goals, that's it. Meanwhile, Minnesota hung 34 points on a very good St. Louis defense in St. Louis. The Patriots are coming off a double-digit loss as Miami put up almost 200 yards rushing against that defense, and now they have to face Adrian Peterson and the kid Patterson. New England's offensive line isn't as good as they used to be over the years. They just traded offensive guard Logan Mankins, and Tom Brady was under pressure all day. He got sacked a lot. His throws were hurried. He was not very accurate. Tight end Rob Gronkowski still seems to be hobbled by that injury. You know, the Patriots lost 13-6 last year to Cincinnati. The defensive coordinator was Mike Zimmer, who is now the head coach of Minnesota. It just goes to show you what a good coaching staff can do. Minnesota always had the talent, but our old head coach, Leslie Frazier, was about as bad of a coach as I've ever seen. There was one other game last week that featured a backup quarterback. That was Carolina at Tampa Bay. The Panthers went with a backup. They won. Tampa Bay's defensive coordinator was Leslie Frazier. I rest my case. Maybe Matt Castle could be looking for some revenge here. Remember, Belichick traded Castle when he was a Patriot. After that year he replaced Brady when he went out. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do think Minnesota is going to win this game straight up. So let's take Minnesota +3. The second game we're going to look at has Atlanta going to Cincinnati, where the Bengals are 5-point favorites at home. Both of these two teams came off very good wins against divisional foes. Atlanta went the distance and then some, winning in overtime against New Orleans. They might have a bit of a letdown here. The Bengals kind of let the Ravens hang around, but when it came down to it, they did what they had to do. They beat Baltimore by 7 in Baltimore. The Ravens have only lost 9 games in the last 6 years at home, so that's very impressive. Meanwhile, the Bengals are 8-0 at home. So I think the price is right here. Let's lay the points and let's take Cincinnati -5. The third game we're going to look at has Arizona going to New York to take on the Giants, who are 1.5-point dogs at home. This opened up as a pick and I quickly jumped on it, but it's Wednesday, so the lines changed a bit. Both teams are coming off the Monday night football games. Arizona was very impressive in a come-from-behind win, beating San Diego. The Chargers last year beat more playoff teams than any other team, so that was a pretty impressive comeback for Arizona. Meanwhile, the Giants look terrible on both sides of the ball. Eli Manning doesn't seem to have much zip left on the arm, and the defensive line that used to be so dominant for New York is just a shell of their former selves. This should be an easy win for the Cardinals. So lay the points and take Arizona -1.5. And the fourth game we're going to look at has Houston going to Oakland, where the Raiders are 3-point dogs at home. Houston's defense is back. J.J. Watt is a monster. He does it all. They're not even going to miss first overall pick Clowney. Jadeveon Clowney, they're not even going to miss him. That's how good that defense is. Remember, these guys were 12-4 2 years ago. Forget about last year's record. Stuff like that does happen. Oakland's going to be going with the rookie Derek Carr at quarterback. He did his best, but let's face it, he only put up 158 yards of offense. That was the lowest in the league last week. Like I said, throughout Houston's record. for last year. This should be a pretty easy win. So take Houston -3. Here are my 4 over-under plays for this week. The first game we're going to look at, New England at Minnesota. That number is 49. The Vikings, if you remember, gave up the fewest amount of points in preseason and only gave up 6 last week. So let's take under 49. New Orleans is at Cleveland. That number is 47.5. Both teams scored a lot last week. Both teams were scored upon a lot last week. So let's take over 47.5. Atlanta's at Cincinnati, a game I talked about. That number is 47.5 as well. The Falcons don't score nearly as much on the road, and Cincinnati has that very good defense. So let's take under 47.5. And the fourth game we're going to look at has Houston at Oakland, a game I mentioned earlier. The number is 39. No teams had fewer yards from scrimmage than Oakland did last week, and with Houston's defense, that their game last week featured the lowest amount of points scored. So let's take under the 39. Here are my straight-up plays for the week. We start off with a Thursday nighter. I like Pittsburgh over Baltimore. I like Detroit to upset Carolina. I think Miami will just squeeze by Buffalo. Washington should get their first win of the year over Jacksonville. I like Tennessee to take care of Dallas. Arizona should easily beat the New York Giants, so you might want to take that if you're in a suicide pool. I like my Minnesota Vikings to upset the New England Patriots. I like New Orleans over Cleveland. Cincinnati over Atlanta is another good pick if you're in a suicide pool. In an upset, I like St. Louis over Tampa Bay. I'm going to see how bad Leslie Frazier is as a defensive coordinator. I'll take St. Louis there, as Tampa Bay will lose back-to-back at home against backup quarterbacks. This is kind of unfair. Seattle gets the Thursday game the week before, and San Diego comes off the Monday nighter. What are you going to do? I like Seattle over San Diego. Houston will take care of Oakland. I mentioned that earlier. Also getting an extra rest is Green Bay. They played the Thursday game. They should take care of the Jets. Like Denver over Kansas City, unless they're looking ahead to next week's game against Seattle. I don't think they will. I think Denver will win that game. The Sunday nighter, I like San Francisco over a Chicago team that really played terribly last week. And the Monday nighter, I like Indianapolis over the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, and those are my picks for this week. Good luck to you. Make sure you check out all my other videos. I do a rankings video every week, and I also have a video on how to win your suicide pool. You can follow me on Twitter at GeoKnows. Check out my website, geoknows.com, and join us on our NFL YouTube Prognosticators page on Facebook. I'll leave all the links below, and make sure you subscribe to my channel for a chance to win a GeoKnows t-shirt. Okay, for the GeoKnows YouTube channel, I am Geo. Let's take the man's money.